a message with us online, the hashtag is NESA2025. NESA2025. We'll appreciate hearing from you. With that hashtag, it'll be easy for us to track your comment. As I said yesterday, there are lots of people who would have loved to be part of this summit, but they're not here. Now it's your obligation as someone who made it here to share that message so that those who are out of the room get to be part of it indirectly. They'll get to know what went on. Distinguished guests who will shortly be joined by their excellencies as we embark on the second session of the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome their excellencies, Right Honorable Ali Lamine Zen, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger, Right Honorable Dr. Edouard Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, and Rafael Mariano Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming their excellencies and Rafael Mariano Grossi. take your seats. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Maramse, good morning and welcome once again to the Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa. And what an honor it is to continue our discussions with the presence of the Prime Ministers of Niger and Rwanda and Mr. Rafael Mariano Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Your presence underscores how serious and significant this summit is for Africa's future and for global energy security, as well as for sustainable development. My name is Jackie Lumbasi. It is an honor to be your MC. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now watch a message from Daniel B. Poneman, Fellow of the Atlantic Council's Global Energy Center and Fellow of the Council's Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security.
Greetings. I am Daniel Poneman, Distinguished Fellow at the Global Energy Center of the Atlantic Council. I'm very sorry to be unable to attend the Kigali Nuclear Energy Summit in person, but honored to have a few moments to share a few thoughts with you on this important work in this important conference. First, I would like to thank and congratulate President Kagame and Prime Minister Ngirente for hosting this important gathering, commend the energy ministers and the leaders of financial institutions who have joined, as well as the industry and non-governmental experts all here today. The significance of this meeting for our industry is attested by the presence of Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, President Sama Bilbao-Leon of the World Nuclear Association, and the representative of Director Bill Magwood of the Nuclear Energy Agency in Paris. We stand at a pivotal moment in the history of this continent and indeed of the world, a moment of limitless possibilities, but also limitless dangers. By 2050, global population will be nearly 10 billion people, and Africa is the only continent whose population will represent a greater share of global population in 2050 than it does today. Africa has enormous potential. The land is endowed with prodigious resources and a rich variety of cultures and talented and resourceful people. Yet poverty, absolute poverty and energy poverty, remain a serious challenge. 600 million Africans still lack access to reliable electricity. For most of Africa, average per capita electricity consumption ranges from 150 to 180 kilowatt hours, compared to 6,500 kilowatt hours in Europe and 13,000 kilowatt hours in the United States. So Africa will be a major engine of economic growth in the decades ahead. Africa will need abundant, reliable, affordable, clean energy. And as Bill Gates has said, nuclear is the only form of energy that operates day in and day out, season in and season out, virtually anywhere in the world that has been proven to work at large scale. Nuclear is the densest form of energy. One uranium fuel pellet holds as much energy as 149 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas, or a ton of coal. That's why nuclear imposes the least burden on land use. A 1,000 megawatt nuclear plant needs about as much land as is in the walled city of Rabat, Morocco. Meanwhile, a 1,000 megawatt solar farm would cover most of the Volcanoes National Park right here in Rwanda, which I had the pleasure of visiting for a life-changing experience, seeing the mountain gorillas in their natural habitat. 1,000 megawatts of wind power would cover half of the Masai Mara. And nuclear does not disrupt delicate water ecosystems, unlike big hydroelectric dams. For all these reasons, nuclear energy is an ideal energy form if you care about preserving this world's rich and precious biodiversity. So what is to be done? For Africa to support a successful nuclear program, it is essential to develop the human talent base to understand that technology, how to build it, how to operate it safely and effectively, and how to develop and apply a first-class regulatory system to assure its safety and public confidence. There is useful precedent on how to build a program from scratch, or literally out of sand. Witness the United Arab Emirates, an incredible success story. They did it right. They developed a policy, passed legislation, brought in world-class experts, trained their own workforce, and in a few years built a successful program adhering to the highest international standards of safety, security, and non-proliferation. That can happen here in Africa. Everyone has a role to play: philanthropy for training and development, concessionary aid for feasibility studies, government training programs and investment, including through export credit programs. Fortunately, under the leadership of President Ajay Banga, working closely with Director General Grossi, the World Bank has reversed its long-standing opposition to supporting nuclear projects. I had the privilege of discussing this exciting decision with President Banga just a few days ago in New York. Multilateral developments can now play an important role in helping nuclear projects get underway in Africa. If governments de-risk investments through their resources and policy regimes, then private debt and equity will be reassured. President Eisenhower articulated a vision in 1953 that remains valid today, in which the power of fission is harnessed to assist humanity in meeting its energy, agricultural, and medical needs. Now we need a new generation to revive that vision and put it into practice. It has been done before, and working together, the people gathered here at this conference and their colleagues and partners can do it again. The stakes could not be higher. The urgency could not be greater. The benefits to Africa and beyond call upon everyone here to exert their best efforts and go from this place to engage their respective stakeholders in this exciting moment for all. Thank you, and best wishes for a successful conference.
Daniel Poneman, ladies and gentlemen. And now it is my honor to invite the chairman, Rwanda Atomic Energy Board, Dr. Lassina Zabo, for his remarks.
Not to remark, I think I'm just taking the stage to welcome my dear friend, Rafael Mariano Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Rafael and I come a long way. And Rafael, I wanted to tell you how grateful I am personally and how grateful the government of Rwanda is that despite your busy schedule, and we've been talking again yesterday, how difficult it was. You made it, and we all thank you. You joining here His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Rwanda, His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Niger, and many ministers from across Africa. And Rafael, I just have one word. In my part of the world, they say, meaning you've honored us, but we're asking God to honor you. And that's all what we can say today. So thank you for coming. You've been in contact regularly with myself. We've done Poneman, with Sama Bilbao, because you all believe in nuclear energy for the continent. And I know, and I said it yesterday, you will dwell into what you've been doing for the continent since taking over. And that's what we expect of you, and that's what Rwanda expects of you. And we want you to do what you've been doing for Africa so that in Rwanda, what we say for the nuclear energy program, Rwanda becomes a blueprint where something can be successful, the fastest, the smoothest for the continent. Rafael took me in 2014 to Argentina. He doesn't talk about that because he's now the Director General of the agency, to visit Argentina nuclear program and INVAP that was at the time building already SMRs, and the ambition was to build SMRs for the developing world. They wanted to make it safer, flexible, and easily deployable for the continent, and also cheaper. That was the ambition of Argentina at the time. As Rafael mentioned to me this morning, they've gone further. They've done it with the innovation that goes with the recent small modular reactors. And he cannot talk about it, but I can because we visited Bariloche together. But as we say in French, joindre l'utile à l'agréable, he also took me to a football match. The only difficulty was that he was with one team and I'm with Boca Juniors since my childhood. And Rafael was mentioning now, when I went to the station, they confused me with an African who was playing in the early 80s. And then I became suddenly famous and everybody wanted an autograph of me. So I took the autograph for long and then I end up saying, I'm not Alphonse Tchami, I'm just Lassina Zerbo. So Rafael, you're here today. Let's welcome the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency for his remark. Rafael, merci.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Prime Minister, of course, of Niger, dear ministers, and of course, my old and good friend, Lassina. Thank you for those kind words. And let me congratulate you and all those who have been participating in this great effort, which is NEISA, which is this Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa here in Kigali. The introductory remarks that you heard from Mr. Poneman laid out a number of points which I am sure are going to be developed in the course of the day. Why nuclear? Why nuclear now? What are the advantages? What are the challenges that we are having? From the perspective of the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the added value that we want to bring to this discussion is to be the real enablers of many of the things that are going to happen and are already happening here in Africa. There is a global trend, and I think it's been mentioned already, but I would like to stop for a minute there and elaborate on that. There is a global trend which is caused by a number of factors, ranging from climate change, to economic development, to the new debates about energy security. We were never referring to something as energy security and in the past, but in an unfortunately increasingly fragmented world, countries are looking for solutions that will provide predictability, that will provide the elements for growth that we all need and we all aspire, and in particular here in Africa. And there is no reason why Africa should not be part of this trend that is picking up in the world. At the Conference of the Parties of the Climate Change Convention in Dubai 2 years ago, there was what I would define as a watershed moment when all countries realized that we all need nuclear. It doesn't mean that every country is going to have nuclear, but it simply means that we are not going to move into a global economy which is gradually decarbonized and is efficient without the contribution of nuclear energy. And technology, because at the end of the day, this is an activity that is technology-driven, technology is providing us with solutions. Technology is providing us with new alternatives that heretofore we did not have. And this is why there is so much anticipation, there is so much excitement in the world and in particular in Africa through the emergence of technologies like small modular reactors. And of course, traditional nuclear as well, and micro reactors. All of these technologies that, of course, have the advantage of the mobility, the flexibility, as it is known, and of course, the affordability, why not say it, at the end of the day, it is also about the feasibility of something, the ability of your countries, everybody to pay for this. It is important to see that we have this incredible alternative. The contribution of the IAEA is not the advocacy as well, but there are many that are going to be developing this. What you need is infrastructure. What you need is capacity building, the ability to train your experts, the ability to have them and to be up to speed to host these nuclear reactors in time and in the best possible way. And of course, very, very importantly, the safety and the security of these operations. Many people, and it will happen to you when you go into the concrete phases of developing your own national programs, there will be questions about the safety, there are issues about the images of past accidents and so on and so forth. So this is why it is so important and why we are here with you and will be here with you hand in hand, accompanying Africa in its journey into nuclear energy, so that everything that happens has a very strong regulatory ingredient, without which this activity would be extremely difficult to bring to fruition. So this is why we see this activity, and the IAEA is working with many of your countries. Of course, Rwanda is a case in point. My dear Edouard, Prime Minister, we have been talking about this, of course, with Lassina. I'm going to be discussing this later with the President, and we have been doing this, of course, in Niger, but also in Algeria, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Egypt, which is building its first set of big nuclear power plants, which is going to start to be operational in a couple of years. But we talk also about Sudan. We talk also about Congo, DRC Congo. We talk about, of course, Namibia, South Africa, which has, or until today, is the only country in the continent that has a nuclear energy program and has finally decided to increase its capacity. So whenever I look at Ghana, Senegal, Kenya, in all of these countries, the IAEA is already preparing the workforce, is already working with the regulators. And importantly, there is this issue of the financing, which Lassina mentioned just now, and also I think in the words of Mr. Poneman. For many, many years, financing in nuclear was out of the question for a variety of reasons, none of which was, in our opinion, neither scientifically nor technically justifiable. But the reality was that there was a limitation, a restriction. So countries could not turn to international finance institutions, and this is, I think, so essential for developing nations, like here in Africa, or where I come from, in Latin America and the Caribbean, or in some parts, in vast parts of Asia. So it was about a singular relationship between vendor and countries that have, as we all know, so many competing priorities in terms of economy and health and education and so many other things. So this is why what happened in Paris just a few days ago is so historical. And I'm not mincing my words here. It's historical because for the first time, the mother of all the development banks, which is the World Bank, decided to put a stop to this. And after a long work of preparation, understanding, mutual education, I would say, between our experts and those from the World Bank, we signed an agreement which, in my opinion, not only is going to allow you to turn to the World Bank, but also, and very importantly, and this is the next step, we are going to be working with regional development banks. There is no reason why, when the World Bank has said goodbye to the old resistance and reluctances of the past, that the African Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Asian Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, with whom we have been working, do not also open their doors to those of you who are going to be investing in nuclear in the next few years. The road, of course, will have to be populated with concrete things, concrete activities that we are going to be carrying out together with you. This is why the IAEA is there. The IAEA is, and it's the first thing in the statute I swore upon when I became Director General, is to promote the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. So this is why, in spite of all these difficulties that we are having, in spite of all the tensions that we see in the world, the wars that may exist, the conflicts that they exist are elsewhere in the world are not solving a single one of the problems you have here in Africa. And on the contrary, perhaps they are aggravating it. So this is why we have to be here. I had to be here working with you. And for those who have not started their partnership with the IAEA, we are here for that. Our teams are here for that. And for those who have already started, be assured that we will be with you every step of the way, because there is no reason that Africa does not benefit from this, which is also helping and fueling the growth of the economies all over the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi. We appreciate your support for NESA, your commitment and message of optimism. Now, as Africa charts its path towards sustainable development, leadership in clean energy and technological innovation will be at the heart of the continent's transformation. We're now going into a high-level session to discuss Africa's innovation advantage, designing a future powered by technology and clean energy. It is a pleasure for me to invite our remarkable panelists for this discussion. I will start off with the moderator, Francesca Giovanni, Executive Director